live to you from Game Swap, friendly confines of Mason, Ohio, just north of the metropolis of Cincinnati. And we've got Michael Farrell on Jund, who we heard from earlier, actually, and then John Keilholz on Humans. And John has got his ideal turn one play. He has played Aether Vial, so he's in the running here. John actually was my teammate at the recent SCG Cincinnati Open.
Oh, is that right?
He was. And John did not win a single round of Magic the Gathering that weekend.
Oh.
And he also bought the drinks after because of that. Which
what a good sport.
He's a good guy for that. So, but John, horrific luck at the SCG Open aside, is a big Humans fan, and so he knows his deck well, and we'll see if he can fight through, no doubt, the interaction that Farrell's going to throw at him. And he's got the 1/2 Tarmogoyf, which Farrell is playing without fear, of course, because he knows Humans means not a lot of relevant interaction that's going to impact him. And Farrell has Raging Ravine, more lands.
Yeah, Raging Ravine, Overgrown Tomb.
Skoos?
Scavenging.
Yeah.
Kind of Bloodstain Mire, it looks like.
Yeah. That's Catacomb.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, value out of the freebooter or getting the bolt. But Skoos is up. Nothing for it to really eat to help it get bigger here right now.
Well, it's still a 2/2, and I think that matches up well against most creatures humans can produce.
I see a Reflector Mage. I see a Thalia. I see a Champion of the Parish. So, and his Vial's on 2. So John's got options here. He is opting to go with Reflector Mage, looks like. All right, and he is going to bounce the Skoos and swing for 1. Pass the turn. Looks like Thalia will probably come out on the Vial. Meanwhile, Farrell is got a clutch full land and the Skoos that he had returned to his hand, plus whatever he drew, which is...
That wasn't a Kalitas, was it? I don't know if they still play that, but it's kind of like one.
I've seen Farrell play Kalitas. I don't know.
Nope, it's an Inquisition. Still good.
That's good. That is definitely good here. So, second Reflector Mage Horizon Canopy Champion of Parish, definitely taking the second Reflector Mage. Not much else he can do here. He passes. Plays the Horizon Canopy, which he may crack here shortly. He's got a second Thalia and a Champion of Parish, neither of which are helping him tremendously right now. Yeah, so he's cracking that Horizon Canopy right off. Draw a card. Another Reflector Mage, which is far more relevant.
Hello and welcome to Tuesday Night Modern Agent.
Yes, welcome. Thanks for joining us. The Freebooter beats in again. And you cast the... I guess here, do you cast the Champion of the Parish? Looks like he's going to.
I mean...
That way, you're setting yourself up next turn to be able to make him pretty beefy. Reflector Mage the Tarmogoyf back to the hand, be able to get in there for some good beats.
It seems as though John has assembled a pretty good amount of value here in the first few turns.
And before the main deck anger. That would be a blowout right now. That would be a blowout.
So does John still play a mainboard sweeper of some sort? Damnation, perhaps? Do you know?
You mean Farrell?
Yeah.
I don't know if he does. No. Okay, so our
Oh.
stream runner is on point. Knew that he does not. So we see the Skoos. Skoos has... Oh, Skoos and Skoos 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Okay, well, we do have one of them being able to be a 3/3 right now,
Which is relevant. So I think we saw Reflector Mage get cast, or a... What was that just got drawn off of that... No, that's the Reflector Mage you drew last turn. I'm trying to see what he drew for this turn. It's viable, whatever it is. It's another freebooter. Okay, so no value. He knows he's only got the black Cleave Cliffs left in hand, but did John remember his counter on his champion? I bet he did.
We're about to find out.
Oh, I'm going to give him so much shit.
He moved it, so hopefully...
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Oh. Okay, so he remembered. I'm glad he remembered. Glad he remembered. That's important. I obviously like to criticize his Magic playing, but out of a place of appreciation.
Of course, of course.
So he's got this Reflector Mage. So do you cast it at the Tarmogoyf? Do you cast it at Skooz? I think you have to point at the Tarmogoyf.
I mean, Tarmogoyf is just the biggest thing right now. What, an Ooze could become a 3/3, and
Yeah.
that's
That's
I mean, that's okay.
that's somewhat relevant, but if he blocks Thalia, you're okay with losing Thalia. If he blocks Champion, it's a trade. You're fine with that.
Doesn't he also have another Thalia in his hand right now?
He does. That's
Okay.
why you're okay with
Yeah.
with losing it.
So we're talking with the Champion and the Freebooter.
Yeah, so he's forcing him into a situation where
Double blocking?
double blocking, getting the Champion.
Okay.
So he eats the Champion right off the bat. Farrell means to top deck something good. Oh, he did.
Oh.
I think that's
That's the Dark Confidant?
yeah, I see a Dark Confidant there. Yeah, that's good. That's precisely what he needed. He is perfectly okay with taking some damage and drawing into some interaction here. Although right now, John's options look like Sky Beats by Freebooter to start chipping away at his life total. Okay, so we got Noble Hierarch. So I guess he could just attack with one Freebooter now and get the same amount of value as far as damage is concerned. It's a very nice board, but how
Yeah,
much does he attack with?
So it's very interesting how many things he actually has on the board right now, but how little it actually appears to do. So you have like a bunch of little dudes, like your 2/1s, your 1/2s, your nobles. I think right now you just attack with your flyers with impunity. Don't really worry about anything on the ground.
If he attacks with the Reflector Mages and the Thalia, he'll lose one of them, and I think that's okay at this stage.
Oh, I'll be right back, folks. Got a judge call.
All right, thanks. Scott, holding down the fort when it comes to authority here. So we saw just the solo attack with the Freebooter, which bolt off of Dark Confidant is good. Oh, that's very good. So there's Tarmogoyf coming back from being Reflector Maged. John was a little too timid in his attack there. I don't think there was much reason not to go ahead and get as much damage as possible and allow Dark Confidant to potentially put him into the danger zone. He's got a bolt now for relevant interaction, and the situation is relatively unchanged as far as threats on board. Drew another Freebooter, it looks like. So solo attack with one Freebooter, draws the bolt, which is going to free the bolt from the hand. And now Farrell can bolt another creature. Oh, this is not looking good. Going to try and vial in the Freebooter, and so the bolt is going to strike Thalia as a consequence. I guess that's probably the best target because John had a backup Thalia in his hand, but he basically got nothing out of that except having to put all of his cards in the graveyard. So we've got the second bomb in Farrell's hand, which he is going to hold on to. He's got a 5/5 Skooz and a 4/5 Tarmogoyf, but on his side of the table, he's definitely got to try and pick his spots of what kind of pressure he can put on here. And John's at 20, and he's really under no pressure right now for allowing an attack to come in. There isn't a whole lot that's very threatening to him as far as taking 4. so he's just going to take 4. John draws, looks like a land. So once again, he's in a similar situation. He's got 2 flyers, he's got his Hierarch, he's got a Reflector Mage, he's got Thalia and another Reflector Mage. At best, Farrell could block 2, so he would take 6, would put him at 5. Then we've got Meddling Mage. Meddling Mage will name something. I don't know if it's going to name Bolt. I don't know what it named, actually. Didn't name Bolt because Farrell cast another one. And the Scooz gets bigger and Farrell gets more life. John's just holding back too much right now. I mean, he could have put a lot of pressure on Farrell's life total. Not that Bob is drawing cards that are causing any pressure on Farrell's life total. So that's working in his favor. And that Scooz is now big enough to start being a real threat. It's coming in for 7. And John has this board that he's not wanting to sacrifice right now, so it looks like he's just going to go ahead and drop to 9, which puts him in the danger zone of a lot of things that Farrell has at his disposal. He's got a Raging Ravine, he's got a big boy Scooz, he's got a big boy Tarmogoyf, and he's still just attacking with 1 Kitesail Freebooter. He's passing the turn with the card in hand. There's Liliana, the last hope, so that's a great hit for Farrell. Cost him some life, but he'd like to have that card right now, so why not? So he's going to go ahead and kill the Noble Hierarch with the +1. And right now, I think Farrell's best option is to potentially hold up. He can turn on the Raging Ravine and swing in. Okay, yeah, it's just attacking with the Scooz, and he gets a chump block from one of the Reflector Mages. And we got a Deputy of Detention, which is well timed on John's part for a card that's extremely relevant in how it's going to interact with the threats out there. So many options. The Scooz is the biggest creature. Liliana might be the most existential threat if it continues to grow. Bob's drawing him cards. Oh, there's a Fatal Push. So this is interesting in how much this is going to matter.
All right, so what have we got going on here? What all did I miss?
So Detention Steve has made an appearance.
Oh.
And Michael Farrell is fetching at the moment because he has a Fatal Push in hand, so he's going to immediately push it once it is done picking a target. John is making a selection not knowing that that's what's going to happen. Farrell has slowly turned this game around. Simply, I think John was a little too timid when he had the board state advantage. Didn't swing in and get in there and put Farrell in range of dying to his Bob. Because he took 4 off of it by drawing Liliana the Last Hope. Or 3 off of it from Liliana the Last Hope. But he's gonna detain the Scooz under Steve, or Detention Steve there, and presumably attack with at least his Freebooter.
So I imagine Farrell is just probably going to wait until all the attacks are declared, and surprise him with Scavenging uses. Oh, well, maybe not. Okay. Well.
Yeah, his life total is comfortable enough now that I don't think he's too worried about 1 damage from Freebooter. Okay, no Fatal Push. Ooh, Kolaghan's Command. That's a good card against humans.
That is quite a good magic card.
And drew Bolt. That's his 4th Bolt. Oh, Mage named Push. Okay, so I was wondering what that Meddling Mage actually named. It didn't name Bolt because something got bolted the moment it came down.
All right, so I imagine we're probably going to see some sort of combination of Bolt the Mage, Push somebody, and then clean up the rest of it with Keilholz command here.
Yeah, Farrell has turned his situation around to quite a commanding spot because John went from having a very full board to having essentially nothing, and I'm not quite sure what he can draw into that's going to catch him back up. That Liliana is going to win the game before Farrell's life total gets too low. I guess he's hoping like Bloodbraid Elf off of the Bob for 4. You know, like something like very unlikely, and chump block until he gets there. But he's running out of options. So Keilholz's command. Farrell's going to blow up the Vial and kill the champion of the parish. That will make the Tarmogoyf as big as it can get. And now that Fatal Push is live. Oh, Bloodbraid Elf. Oh, John, you're gonna get it, unfortunately. He's got Bolt in hand still, I think. Okay, so he killed his own Bob. Bloodbraid Elf. Bloodbraid Elf. Sure, Liliana the Veil. Seems good.
Okay, and John has 1 card in hand right now?
One card, yeah, and it's a Cavern of Souls.
Okay, and it looks like he's using it to Edict. Which he's going to Edict. That's 8 damage, and did we already use the Bolt on something? Is there still Bolt over there? That's a push. So, looks like he will probably get brought to 1 here.
I guess he was hoping for Mantis Rider off the top. But yeah, John's timidity in committing to attacks that would have cost him some of his board definitely lost him the game in that circumstance. He could have done that 2 damage that would have made that Bloodbraid Elf hit off of Bob lethal a lot of different ways. And Farrell used that to his advantage to draw into all of the relevant, creature removal deck. You give him enough time, he's going to draw enough bolts and pushes and Liliana or whatever he needs to be able to whittle down the impressive board state that you've built out. So Farrell's showing his mastery of the Jund arts by making some beefy dudes.
Yeah, I'll admit I actually haven't played against Jund in a while. The last time I saw it was at the SCG. Is it SCG?
SCG Open? I know you played in the Open up in Cleveland.
Yeah, that was I saw it round 7 there.
Round 7.
Yep.
So did you make day 2?
No, unfortunately, I had gotten 1 draw too many. It was I believe I got 1 loss and 2 draws. Unfortunately, I drew against Dredge. Interestingly enough, that was a unfortunate circumstance.
You were playing As Foretold, correct?
No, I've not been playing that deck for a while.
Oh, okay.
I was just on your typical blue-white. Nothing super fancy about mine right now.
1 tie too many. Well, it's okay. I won exactly 1 round that whole day. So.
Oh, well, you still won.
I did. I left a winner 1 time.
It's still something.
It was all these tragic game 3s that I would just barely lose. I mean, I was in every game I played. I can't complain too much. It's just a little short.
Falcor, I actually just tried him out in a Legacy event on Sunday, actually.
Legacy?
Yes, I had a Teferi Timebender in Miracles.
How'd that feel?
It was very good. It gives you 9 cantrips to respond to your counterbalance. So you have 4 Brainstorm, 4 Ponder, 1 Preordain, and it's actually 10. I was running 4 Tempt as well that night. And he usually just wins you any matchups against blue decks.
Oh, sure. I mean, you've shut down their capacity to actually play to their value proposition in Legacy by its static ability alone. All for 3. I mean, that's real good. Now, did you play that in your 60, or was that in your sideboard?
He was in my 60. I was testing a new idea, so I preferred just try and see it as many games as possible.
Sure, no, I understand.
I think he is more likely a sideboard card, if anything. But I don't know. I just really like the idea of having 10 neutral cards to respond to your counterbalance with. I'll say he's good for his static against any blue deck, sure, but just being able to make your counterbalance as consistent as possible is a very powerful feeling. It also makes your mentors even more threatening, as if they really needed it.
Well, I'm not surprised to hear that that card has been found a way to be broken in Legacy. Mr. Meadows has mentioned the new Narset. I've seen a lot of people talking about that card.
I have seen a lot of talk about it. I am trying to do something with it, but honestly, I don't know what exactly I want to do with it.
I have really enjoyed playing the new Saheeli in Boros Feather. It's a great sideboard card to bring in matchups where you need some kind of reach, like some, literally, Grixis and Esper are really popular right now.
Right.
And being able to turn a servo token into an extra Dreadhorde Arcanist and just empty your hand and then cast more cards when you're on the attacks and just have a ton of tokens, that can just win the game all by itself right there.
I'll say, as we all know, Young Pyromancer is pretty good, and the strange ability to turn those servos into just a better creature is probably pretty okay, I imagine.
That's pretty okay. So John's going to be mulliganing to 6 on the play here. He's got to look to hopefully be a little bit more aggressive this time. Farrell will punish delay with all manner of even additional interaction now, because now we've got Anger of the Gods. Now we've got Collective Brutality. Now we've got Ishkana. If he's actually, you told me earlier he's not. He's doing Angareth instead.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So he's got his deck has become even more powerful against John's value proposition.
You said you were on a team with John. What
Yes.
kind of stuff did he have in his sideboard for this sort of situation?
Well, he played in our standard seat for the Open.
Okay.
He was playing Simic Nexus, and poor man had basically every decision point that he had that was like between 2 choices that were like legitimate choices of what to do. He'd always choose the exact wrong one as far as playing the what's in his opponent's hand. It was unreal.
That's quite unfortunate.
It was. Not the drinks he bought after, though. Those were great. We went to 16-bit, we had some drinks, then we went to the Eagle and OTR, had dinner. Highlight of the weekend.
Well,
Certainly was not playing Magic the Gathering, that's for sure.
So I'm glad the rest of the team seemed to have profited just fine.
We did great. We had delicious fried chicken and drinks on John. It was fantastic. We were all winners, except for him, because he lost. That's a mulligan to 5 right now for John. That's not good. And against a deck with Thoughtseize in it. And Inquisition.
So how much does humans actually get to change against something like Jund?
Auroch Champion for sure.
Sure.
That's a great card.
Protection from your removal is pretty okay.
Yeah.
So is that really the only?
There's our champion on top. He saw it, so. And he's got, looks like unclaimed territory plus Horizon Canopy, so he's going to slam that thing. And he's happy to have it on top of his deck, because here's that turn 1 hand interaction.
As we all know, you can't Thoughtseize the top of their deck, so that is pretty good news for John here.
I learned that from watching Brainstorm in Legacy quite a bit.
What a card.
So yeah, he put it down before he even played the land. Like, he's like, this is happening.
I am committed to this play this turn and nothing else matters.
Yes, this is happening. I'm very excited that I have this opportunity to play this card. Ooh, and good.
Dismember. Okay.
He had to dismember, but more importantly, he's got value as lieutenant. So our champion is going to get bigger. He's going to gain life. This is exactly what John needs right now. So he's going to come in for beats with that. I don't know if Farrell had brought in like an assassin's trophy or something, but even that really won't help him right now. I don't think there's any, unless he's one of Beast Within.
Beast Within, jeez.
That's all I can think of.
Has John ever actually played Beast Within?
I have no idea, but you know, Farrell would be the person to ask.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, you know, unconditional.
We are pitching the trophy here to Collective Brutality to steal the Dismember and kill the Lieutenant. That is a pretty good amount of value there.
It is good value. But the benefit for John is that he, ooh, Mantis Rider. That's a good top deck.
Getting some pretty hot top decks here for John.
He's going to come in for 5 here. So he's putting a lot of pressure on Farrell's life total as quickly as he can. Obviously, Mantis Rider is primed for interaction. Ooh, engineered explosives. That's how you get rid of our champion right there.
Well, it's not very good.
Good on 0. No, not good at all.
A whole lot there.
At least we know what his out is today. Card in his deck.
It is good to know.
Second Mantis Rider. Just go ahead. Feels good. Farrell's life total's got to be perilously low at this point. Yeah.
That's a lot of damage there, Joe.
That is a lot. That is, in fact, a lot of damage. So, yeah, that very quick game, too. With Keilholz just ripping 2 Mantis Riders off the top with a... That was RX champion, Mantis Rider in a row. That's good.
Those are...
That's good.
In fact, probably the best top decks John could have had there.
off a mill to 5, off a mull to 5. Like, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I see I am Falcor pointing out the gotta love being Jund and having that turn 1 Thoughtseize while your opponent's thinking about their mull decisions. But man, you can't, like you said, you cannot Thoughtseize at the top of the deck, and you could not have asked it to line up better than that.
That's right, Rob Meadows. That is, in fact, Phil Swift with, what is it, Flex Tape? What is it?
It's Flex Tape. Yeah. It was Flex Tape. That is correct.
Yep. Showing us here in the embodiment of John as he tears this Jund deck in half.
The power of crazy humans on giant mantises flying. So things, I think, will not break quite as perfectly for John this time. I'm going to go way out on a limb and say that, but then again, he might also not have to mull to 5. So.
Yeah, guess we're going to see here. He's going to be on the draw, so mulliganing won't be as detrimental, which, not that it really was.
It was detrimental. No, I guess he can set it up like that. He'll take it every time. But we know now Farrell's got engineered explosives, so RX champion still does not need the sneaky one of Beast Within. That's the hot Jund tech you didn't know you needed.
All right, let's see. Okay, so we got some Reflector Mage, Champion, and Meddling Mage, it looks like, with a bunch of lands. Is that 4 lands?
That is, in fact, 4 lands. Okay, top to freebooters. Then I think got better. Still gonna. I just showed off his Reflector Mage on accident. Whoopsie-doo. That's getting bolted straight away.
Yeah, I'm not sure about actually casting the explosives there, Falcor. Maybe if the game went anywhere, you could grow the Goyf by 1, but otherwise I think it probably would have just been a bit more useful to just put it on the bottom.
Yeah, because that way, once you fetch, he might actually draw and make it a relevant card. But, you know, it didn't unfortunately for Farrell matter what he did in that situation.
Yeah, not a whole lot he could have done. Maybe draw an anger and hope for the best. But
that's the downside of putting something like Bloodbraid Elf in your and a card with an X casting cost together.
Yep.
It's just possible that he's going to bite you in the ass. So we've got an Abrupt Decay and a Kolaghan's Command. So a little bit of Sophie's choice on John's part, because whatever he decides to take here, he's going to. ultimately the other is going to kill his freebooter. But at the moment, because Farrell only has the 2 land that he has presently play. Oh, no, he's got a 3rd. Never mind. Doesn't matter.
I imagine you probably take the Culligan's command just so you don't get infinite potential value the turn you can cast it.
Yeah.
So you force him to use the, well, not force him, but he is then left only able to use the Abrupt Decay.
Agreed.
I mean, it's not great either way, but it's less value.
I agree.
Well, it's still deal 2 damage and discard, which is not the worst you can do.
So he's going to take the Abrupt Decay, and he's going to make him use the Keilholz command by tapping down entirely on his next turn and force him to use the only 2 modes available to him. I get it.
Sure.
I understand it. And it does look like that's his play at the moment. Farrell's sizing up what he's going to do, and he's going to do it. So 2 damage discard. And John is going to go ahead and discard a plains that he does not feel he needs. Bob is going to get in for beats. Bob also did not cost him anything. He drew a land off his last turn. So we got, looks like Mantis Rider. So we've got a Meddling Mage that is going to be cast by John. He's going to name that Abrupt Decay. I would assume, since he knows he's got it. Another land, and then an Assassin's Trophy. Oof.
Yep.
That's good. That's good. Farrell, I mean, when you have that much removal, though, chances are he's going to draw it. Like, he's got Fatal Pushes, he's got Bolts, he's got Assassin's Trophies, he's got Abrupt Decays, he's got Keilholz commands. Like,
yeah, it's not so much the, wow, you drew the removal. It's, well.
Of course you drew the removal. It's like, that's exactly what I expected. You're going to do the Bloodbraid Elf, because at this point.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good. That's it's tasty. John's got a more difficult decision this time on his discard. He's going to discard the Values Lieutenant.
Things are slipping out of John's hands pretty quickly here.
Yeah, his hand wasn't terrible to start with, but without a Noble or a Vial, he could not keep up with what Farrell is up to here. So he drew a 2nd Meddling Mage. He's got a Reflector Mage, and he has a Mantis Rider in hand. None of those are great right now, because you definitely can't Reflector Mage the Bloodbraid Elf. The worst idea of all time.
I mean, you could. It's a target.
I mean, can you? I cast Meddling Mage. Not sure what he's naming this time. Probably Abrupt Decay again, because he knows he's still got it. There's an Inquisition. He's got a 2nd Bloodbraid Elf in hand. Ooh, man, this is just getting bad.
Probably just take the Reflector Mage, I guess? Or do you take the one that deals damage?
No, you take the Reflector Mage, because that's the only thing that can disrupt what you're doing.
But he could bounce the Bloodbraid Elf. You could get lucky.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if that's like your deep thought is like secretly you're hoping that you can cast another an extra Bloodbraid Elf.
I mean, it certainly isn't doing bad. Well,
yeah.
Why hope when you can just do? Probably gonna put that one on the bottom there.
Yeah.
Gonna do a hard pass.
Hard pass on the Anger of the Gods. Not the greatest card to see in that situation, but hey, whatever. I'll attack with my 3/2. That seems good. Meanwhile, John's like, I guess I'm just taking it because I need this Reflector Mage to continue to be a thing.
Meddling Mage?
Yeah, Meddling Mage, but...
What did we name with that Meddling Mage? Was it Abrupt Decay?
It has to be his Abrupt Decay because he knows he's got it. Yep. There's no other removal spell that he knows he's blanking with that. Fatal Push.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's lethal. Yeah.
Yep.
There it is.
That's the game, folks.
Yeah, that's...
Let's see here.